Okay, always fun. Easier actually to talk to politicians, I say, rather than to be speaking to business leaders. But this is a rare opportunity and a great opportunity, should I say? So let's kick off first with you, Kaustubh bhai. As someone who looks at business, politics, and governance from so many angles that you have the rare and unique opportunity of looking. Firstly, tell us the story of Maharashtra, right? Because the words that we're now hearing in Maharashtra are words and numbers that we've not heard, from previous establishments. So I first want to understand from you: is this pure political play, जो हम सब भारत में बड़ा regularly देखते हैं? Yeah, is something fundamentally changing? What's the story? What's the business story of Maharashtra? Help us understand that.
Sure. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's an absolute pleasure to be here today. And I just have to make one correction. I work with politicians. I am not a politician. But having said that, the fact that we have some remarkable visionary leadership, both at the state and the center, is a very important constituent to the way the country and the state is getting navigated. And it's in the right direction, it's futuristic, and it gives everybody an inclusive ability to participate in this growth. Maharashtra is the economic powerhouse of India. It's the gateway to India's $5 trillion economy goal. We are about 552 billion right now. We are growing at about 10.2% CAGR in the last 7 years, barring the COVID years. And we have set a target of becoming a $1 trillion economy. Mr. Chaubey did mention this in his earlier conversation. It's an audacious, ambitious target, but in a business as usual mode, we will get there by 2031, 32. We are driving this aggressively to get there by 2029. And a few years ago, the Honorable Chief Minister, who was the Honorable Deputy Chief Minister then, set into motion Economic Advisory Council, led by Chairman of Tata Trust, N. Chandrasekharan, which drafted a report of $1 trillion economy goal. And the state is very aggressively on that path. Maharashtra also is fortunate to have Mumbai. Mumbai, ladies and gentlemen, as you all know, most of you are Mumbaikars, is the financial, commercial, and entertainment capital of India. And I was very pleased with the earlier conversations talking about the city that never sleeps. But one of the most distinct qualities of Mumbai is that its roads are not just paved by stardust, but they're also paved by gold dust. It's a place where dreams are made. It's a place where people have created fortunes. It's a city which gives you an opportunity to live your dream. And that is the reason why the resiliency and the remarkableness of Mumbai is in its spirit. And today we are reaping the benefits of a great city which is vibrant, which is growing, which is economically extremely powerful. Maharashtra also is the largest producer of electricity in the country. It is the largest, it's the number one in data centers. We have more than 66% of the data center capacity. It is one of the largest exporter. The exports have gotten a little bit shaky because of the recent tariffs. But the fact of the matter remains that we are a manufacturing powerhouse. Although the GDP contribution of services is far more. So we, generally the impression is that Bengaluru is the startup capital. The reason being is that between 2000 and 2014, a significant amount of mileage got lost out due to the sheer incomplacency. Due to the sheer complacency of the government then, and also lack of infrastructure. You must have seen that between 2014 and 2019, we set into motion $30 billion worth of projects. Today, whether it's the coastal road, whether it's the Atal Setu, whether it's the underground metro, whether it's the new Mumbai airport, which is going to service 90 million passengers, Mr. Chaubey, in the next 3.5 years. These are audacious dreams. These dreams reflect the aspiration of this state and especially Mumbai, because we have not delivered the goods to Mumbai. There's a lot to do, but just as a summary, Maharashtra is going to become the gateway to India's $5 trillion economy goal. And I will leave you with this thought that in order for us to get there, technology is a very important constituent, ladies and gentlemen. And we are going to set the tone to become the most friendly, innovative, and accelerated technology-led governance ecosystem in the country. And I am 100% sure that we will deliver on every promise that we have made in the next few years.
Well, that's a great pitch for Maharashtra. And you can see that people are believing you, because I was about to say, let's give you a huge round of applause, and the applause came on its own. So great. I mean, great listening to those words. It makes you feel happy. But it also, makes you aware of the challenges that you may have. You've spoken briefly about the nature of politics which exists in our country, as in the state. Tell me, when you plan for such big numbers, 1 trillion, 50 trillion rupees, you're telling me about a bullet train, which I understand is now going to be operational in what, 2028? Do you see the nature of politics in our country? Do you see this as an impediment? The federal state, you don't know what will happen 5 years down the line, alliance politics, and who better than your present boss to be appreciating the federal nature or the alliance-based nature of politics. Do you see this as an impediment to India's growth story?
No, I don't see it as an impediment. We have made a very conscious choice to become a democracy. We are a quasi-federal ecosystem. There is a federal government and there is a state government. There is a strong semblance of cooperative federalism and competitive federalism. So we walk on the fundamental philosophy that we aggressively compete with states and we seek the center's guidance to help us achieve what we have intended to do, because the center is the overarching federal government. But having said that, I have to admit this, that it is not easy to get things done. And the reason being is because it's pure human nature. Okay, sometimes people are not convinced if you tell them there is a far more better, brighter, easier way to do things. Because the conventional mechanism in which people operate, and humans operate, and this is true for everyone. It's not just government servants, or it's true for government, it's true for private sector. We resist change. And we resist the fact that there is a finer idea in the room. An idea which remarkably breaks the shackles of conventional thinking, gives a completely out-of-the-box way, and gives you a solution to extremely protracted and complex problems. Executing a coastal road where 17 independent agencies were operating, where every agency was driven by a senior civil servant, it was absolute madhouse, absolute madhouse. So you needed a leader. You needed a leader to sit everybody down, to make sure that you can, figure out your differences, to make sure that everybody works on a fundamental philosophy of getting things done. So this is a mechanism. See, you have to commit to the cause. In corporate sector, you have to commit to the cause to make the company profitable. If a company is not profitable, please don't do business, because you are no use to the government. If you're not making enough money, you're not used to us. You can't pay taxes. You can't employ people. You can't contribute to the economy. So you remember to do what you have good at. Leave the government, and please leave the government. Choose the right government first, and leave it with your wisdom to get things done. Nothing is easy, whether it's corporate or and I leave you with this thought, okay? I have been thinking about this for a very, very long time. This is what Mr. Fadnavis always says when he is in a conference with business leaders. He said this recently when the Honorable British Prime Minister was here, and we met 12 of the top CEOs of British companies. He said that the most difficult thing for business leaders, Sekhar, is to do the right thing and remain profitable. And colloquially, it is also the most difficult thing for political leaders to do what is right and get elected. So both are equally profound challenges. It is incumbent on us to choose the right government leadership. The private leadership will manage on their own.
Well, you remind me of that famous phrase, no, that good economics is always bad politics, and good politics is always bad economics. But just a right note for me to bring you back into the conversation, Sekhar. In our previous session, we were talking about trust in your vision and your idea of India. But look at this candid talk, right, coming from Kaustubh. One road, the coastal road, 17 agencies that he has to deal with as a government. Now, let me bring that simile to your business, right? When you have to do business in India, you have to go to states, you have to deal with all these multitude of agencies, then there is a center, the big daddy. How do you all prepare yourself up for this enormity of this challenge? And is there any market in your understanding of the APAC market that you lead? Is there any country that you can do a comparison of with India, with Indian markets?
Yeah, I can try.
You can try, see.
I can try.
Not going to be easy.
So I have a liberty that Mr. Kaustubh and the government of India, but the state of federal doesn't, right? Which is single-minded focus. We can focus on one thing and one thing only, which is to commercially make available the solutions that we think make sense for the market. The other advantage that I have is that my constituents self-select into me, right? I'm not catering to the whole, I'm not catering to the entire population. I'm not having to make those trade-offs, right? So those are advantages that I have, I think, compared to a political setup. And so when it comes, although from the other perspective, when it comes to dealing with regulators, right, we have to take the same approach, which is if there are 17 bodies that I need to engage with, then I will engage with every single one of them. Each one of them will have competing priorities. Sometimes
does it slow you down? Does it discourage you?
No, it doesn't, because that's the reality of doing. If you want to do business in India, that is the reality, right? You either step up and do business that way, or you don't come into India. That is the only option available to you. So again, single-minded focus, right? We're either in or we're out. And if we're in, we're all the way in. And all the way in means I sit down with all those 17 regulatory bodies, I understand what their core KPIs are, what their focus points are, and make sure that we can meet their requirements. And if I'm lucky, there'll be overlapping priorities. Then I'm dealing with a bucket of regulators rather than one at a time, right? Now, is this comparable to other markets in APAC? Yeah, for sure. I mean, in most markets, you have two regulators to deal with, the securities regulator and the central bank, right? And then maybe you'll have a law enforcement agency. In India, it's a bit more fractured than that. But the body of work that you do is more or less the same. You just have many more touch points, right? We have other markets where regulatory bodies have much narrower scope of work, and therefore there are many more regulatory bodies. India's probably like at one end of the spectrum, to be honest. But again, that doesn't discourage us. It actually fuels us.
Tuhin, Kaustubh has rightly pointed out that he's not a politician, right? But you are the politician. So since you are the politician, why don't you help us understand this crazy contradiction of big ambition that Kaustubh speaks about, and certainly very clear-cut intent, which Binance speaks about, right? When you put the political lens on it, what do you go for? Do you say that ultimately I have to look after the interests of those 17 agencies that Kaustubh is speaking about? Or do you as a politician think, okay, boss, let me bring in the business into India, let me create a framework which enables easier business. We talk of ease of doing business, which enables easier business. How do you deal with this contradiction?
Well, good evening, everybody. Good evening to my co-panelists. It's great to be here. When you say I'm a politician, I'm still an honest politician. So unlike, the leader of opposition, Mr. Gandhi, I would be honest to admit that I'm still assimilating knowledge and information about this fascinating world of blockchain technology and cryptocurrency, and I've been referring to my notes. So, if I err, please be patient with me. We are at a very interesting inflection point in our journey as a nation, where in the next few years, we are going to see an unprecedented surge. And when I say surge, for the first time, the good part is that in the last 11 years, we have laid out the foundation for massive things going ahead. The next few years are going to see those things getting fructified. In management terms, there is a term called BHAG, Big, Hairy, Audacious Goal. And fortunately, both Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Maharashtra Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis seem to be following that management model. So they set very ambitious goals. Prime Minister Modi for the country, Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis for the for the state. And when you set such ambitious goals, you work around achieving, you know, you make it a point to go all out to achieve those targets. When it comes to blockchain technologies, some very interesting developments have taken place in the last few weeks. Just 3 days ago, Madras High Court passed a judgment validating cryptocurrency as a property asset. For the first time, some time back, Jayant Chaudhary, Minister of
Union
State,
Minister.
actually furnished his crypto holdings and was very honest to show a 19% increase in its valuation since the last year. At the same time, last September, the central government formulated the National Blockchain Framework, NBF, with valuations of some 64 crores. So, we are at a very important inflection point where in the next few years, we are going to see all of it materializing. But the good thing, one of the most interesting developments which has taken place, and which hopefully I would request, Kaustubh to speak on it later. When Mumbai, the economy of Mumbai, which today stands at roughly $280 billion, and with the massive all-round infrastructure development which is taking place and which is also leading to a geographical expansion of MMR from Vadhavan port in the north to right up to Raigad in the southeast, I guess we have set a target of $1 trillion economy for Mumbai by 2047, if I'm not mistaken. And a very interesting development took place in the last few weeks, where the Maharashtra government decided to tokenize real assets, which is expected to unearth capital to the tune of 50
Trillion crores.
no, 50, 50,
50 trillion crore rupees.
50 trillion crore rupees. So imagine how much it is going to expedite infrastructure creation across Maharashtra. And I think, I would love to hear more about how one goes about it. But yes, that is the scale, all-round scale of operations that is taking place across the country. If you look at the central government's approach, it's one of cautious optimism. Prime Minister Modi has always been quick, has always shown alacrity in absorbing new technology. Way back in 2008, 2007, 2008, he was the first to, get a hold of social media when the Congress party was still struggling with the, ancient modes of communication. And today, when it comes to cryptocurrency and blockchain technology, he has been equally sagacious in embracing it. But at the same time, the Indian government believes in putting the right safeguards in place, which is what has been happening. So yes, going ahead today, cryptocurrency stands at $2.6 billion in our economy. And I think, in the next 10 years, it is supposed to be $13.9 billion economy. I guess the sky is the limit from here.
Sekhar, I want to quickly bring you in on this one before I go back to Kaustubh. Binance has 22 licenses across the world, 22 partners. If I make this assertion that for any country to stay away from this space, like some countries have attempted, is it now becoming an impossible scenario that the force of the global force of capital in this space is so strong that it's not possible for any country to take this position that I'm not going to embrace it or I'm not going to adopt it? Have we reached that stage?
Yeah, look, I think a country can always insulate itself and say, we're not going to make digital assets available. But I think that ship has sailed for India, right? Your user adoption is among the highest in the world. Your assets, digital assets holdings by individuals and by families is peaking at about 5 billion. That number will double every couple of years, right? So the ship has sailed in the sense that the exposure that the Indian consumers have to digital assets today already necessitates some sort of government framework around this, right? So my sense is that there are also sort of national sort of incentives to get involved in this space, because I'll talk about stable coins, which I think parts of the government have talked about. So guys, you're looking a bit jaded. How many of you in this room use P2P? How many of you enjoy using P2P? Compared to if I said you could use INR rails to on-ramp and off-ramp, how many of you would still use P2P, right? You see the verdict in the room. It is an atrocious user experience. Now, what any normal crypto market would want is national currency being able to use to deposit and withdraw from exchanges, right? And where the biggest markets in the world are going is saying, well, we've got to balance that, to your point, we've got to balance the user convenience with the risk management. And where does risk management come from? Risk management comes from having control over your currency. So in a control currency environment where capital flight is a concern like India, it's actually in India's interest to have a stable coin or rupee-backed tokens or rupee-based CBDCs. The format doesn't matter, right? Having that instrument available for Indian consumers to safely onboard and offboard from digital asset exchanges is critical.
So, Kaustubh, what would stop a big state like Maharashtra with the capital, with the innovation which is available for Maharashtra to actually be willing to do something like what Sekhar is speaking?
I think this is quite a regulated topic, and my view is I look at blockchain as far beyond crypto as verifiable trust. I believe that blockchain is a necessity for a significant amount of digital asset creation. When the Honorable Chief Minister at the GFF platform earlier this, earlier this month,
Yes.
made an announcement, which Mr. Sinha was referring to, what he essentially said is that Maharashtra would become the first fully tokenized state.
What does it mean?
Yeah, so let me explain this.
Let's understand this.
Okay. So let me explain this. What this essentially means, guys, is that one of the key challenges we have is that if, for example, you want to mortgage your home and you want to raise some capital on your home to fund your business, or you want to use it, it is becoming increasingly difficult because of the long period required, the manual process associated with going through the whole process of couple of months and then making sure that the property is valid, everything is legal, and then, some bank or somebody giving you some kind of a loan on top of that. Now, obviously, we have this great opportunity using blockchain technology, and this is a multi-pronged regulatory ecosystem which will get created. The way I visualize it, the way this is going to happen, is that like NPCI, there will be an exchange specifically for digital asset transactions. Then there will be a framework that will be defined. There will be multiple agencies involved, including RBI, who will basically run the framework down as to how we will go in the process of digitizing, let's say, my house, or putting that on a particular platform. And that process, once it is complete, it will become tokenized. That token essentially can be used, and imagine the potential of what we will end up doing. Now, for example, most of the government of Maharashtra assets are fully depreciated. They are sitting at their, on the asset side of our balance sheet. And obviously, our ability to raise capital, our ability to raise financing for infrastructure projects, this is something that is, we have not fully explored the potential of what we will end up doing. So when we say that Maharashtra will be the first fully tokenized state, what I essentially mean is that we are going to tap into the digital, we are going to tap into the real estate asset class, and we are going to bring in a framework to completely digitize it and create a token. And that token will be used now for transactions. So essentially, we are moving in that direction. Again, as I said, that this is a highly regulated area, so the steps in that direction have been taken. The Honorable Chief Minister has made the announcement. A committee will now be formed, and I am already talking to a few companies, essentially, and more than happy to talk to Binance on the platform that will be required. Because at the end of the day, a blockchain-powered ecosystem of this nature will be extremely beneficial. For you and for me as common citizens, we will be far more empowered with something which is protected by blockchain, verifiable trust, and fully integrated into an electronic ecosystem, So you make an application today and tomorrow it will get sanctioned. This is how fast it will be. Imagine the potential of having this power and unlocking so much of assets for you to fund whatever your dreams are, essentially. So that is what the direction that we are taking.
Well, I'm seeing the seeds of the first MOU perhaps between Binance and the government of Maharashtra. But just just on that optimistic note which is being spoken about by Kaustubh, you as an industry leader, in the previous session you're telling us that you're 50% of the market share. How do you respond to this great opportunity? And in my mind, my mind is boggled by the prospect that if the state of Maharashtra says that I'm going to be the first state in India to be fully tokenized, the state of UP, which in population size is the 5th or the 6th biggest country of the world, right? I mean, those are the numbers that you're looking at. If you have these big states now adopting the kind of ambitious, very futuristic worldview which is being taken here by Kaustubh, how does a company like Binance, how does it contribute to unlocking this value that Kaustubh is talking about?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we, at our core, we're a technology company, right? We build products. So as the big, hairy, audacious goal is being laid out, I was thinking of the steps involved in making that into a product, right? And I'll give you some examples. You need infrastructure to run this. The idea makes total sense, right? Now, what underlying blockchain protocol are you going to host this on? Is that going to be interoperable, right? Is that going to be a national interoperable blockchain protocol? Are there going to be competing protocols? Your token specifications, your token protocol itself, what are you going to adopt? How are you going to then migrate to future, sort of standards, right? So you're thinking about scalability and modernization of it as it 50 years down the road, right? Think about in terms of unlocking credit cycles. Now, transfer of tokens. So if you want to, you have your house on a token, on a chain, you want to use that to unlock the liquidity behind it. What is the custody mechanism that the participating banks are going to take part in? How is sort of effectively mortgaging going to happen on the model? So we take a big, hairy, audacious goal like that, and we break it into a technology slash product iteration cycle, right? And we break each component down, and we think about how do we build something that lasts, that is safe, that is not going to get hacked, that is free from fraud. What are the controls we put in place, right? And that makes it effectively a technology neutral solution that works well into the future. So we're technologists. We take a ambition, a world ambition that makes people's lives better, and we build a product around it. So we could build the product, we could help work on the infrastructure, the product build, and as well as the distribution and the maintenance of the technology over time.
Well, that's great to hear. But Tuhin, isn't this what, when the Prime Minister speaks about his dream of Viksit Bharat 2047, and when Kaustubh here speaks about making Maharashtra into the kind of economy that they all aspire for, and this deeply tech-based conversation which we're hearing from Binance, are these the steps that, in your opinion, as a political representative, needs to be taken for us to achieve our goal?
Well, a politician tends to take a more generic view, a larger view. So allow me to go beyond cryptocurrencies. Essentially, I see the blockchain technology significantly enhancing governance across spheres. And I think I'm not sure, but one of the places where it could be employed in future is to optimize the working of the judiciary. Because with 5.3 crore pending cases, I'm sure there could be a way we would find ways to employ it to improve the working of the
blockchain-based evidence management system is there.
Super.
So, yeah.
Super. Similarly, when it comes to supply chain of food items, supply chain of infrastructure creation, because of the scale of infrastructure creation we are doing across the country, supply chain of energy requirements of India, I think all of it will get optimized significantly. So, like I said, in the last 11 years, for that matter, the ambitious Suraksha Kavach plan of Prime Minister, which is to fortify India every which way from a defense perspective by 2035, blockchain technology would play a very important role even there. So, like I mentioned, in the last 11 years, we've laid a foundation, a very strong foundation for these newer technologies to start producing the results. And I think 2030 onwards, we will see that unprecedented surge, which will, like I said, 2047, 30, $35 trillion economy goal for India might look like a gargantuan task right now. But 2030 onwards is when I believe the pace would suddenly shoot up to an extent that, newer technologies such as blockchain technologies will act as an effective enabler in achieving that goal.
I'm just wondering that on one hand, there are these, these great conversations. There are these great points which are being made. But India, as we know, always operates in two parts, right? There is the parts of India which you and I come from, where hardcore party politics always ends up triumphing over everything else. In the previous session, I was speaking to Sekhar about trust, right? The reality is that specifically in the crypto space, there are a lot of questions also globally which are often being raised. I want to get some sense from you, Tuhin, that what's the thinking in Delhi? Blockchain, crypto, are these good words for the Prime Minister's inner core think tank?
Like I mentioned, we've had a...
Is he open? Is the Prime Minister
The
open?
Prime Minister is the most open-minded Prime Minister that you've seen in a very long time. For the first time, like I mentioned, we are having conversations solely focused around numbers. Pre-2014, or even 6 or 7 years ago, I don't see, I don't remember too many conversations around numbers. Which sector is going to contribute how much towards our economic
Very
goals.
specific numbers we're now talking. That's
So
true.
similarly, I was in a panel discussion on the scope of biotechnology going ahead just about 2 weeks ago. And one of the senior most scientists who has also worked with Atal Bihari Vajpayee, Dr. Ashok Gulati, was, recounting his experiences of then and now. I think after Mr. Vajpayee, which was more than 20 years ago, Prime Minister Modi has shown the gumption to think big, to explore sectors which, any other Prime Minister would have shied away from. But like I said, ethical AI, ethical blockchain, ethical cryptocurrency would be the term to emphasize upon. Sanitized AI, sanitized blockchain, because I think that is a word which, let me put it this way, in as much as the Prime Minister Modi is aware of the vast potential of blockchain technology and cryptocurrency, he's equally aware of its misuse should it not be sanitized, should it not be regulated well enough. I think this balance is something which we will continue to maintain going ahead.
Sekhar, you want to respond to that? Ethical usage of technology, ethical crypto, right? I mean, there's good, there's bad. Every product can be used and abused. Is there a mechanism that comes to your mind to ensure that the entire phraseology, the terminology in popular discourse about crypto ends up around ethical crypto? How do you ensure that?
Well, I think it's hard for a business, a well-intentioned and legitimate business to survive unless it is ethical in its behavior. And what is ethics in a business context except ethics towards consumers, first and foremost, right? Users of your products. And so I've run through some statistics earlier.
Yeah, like for instance, recently I heard that your company paid $400 million to people who'd lost their money, on these exchanges. Now, that's a big number by any ask. Is that the trust? Is that the build-up of ethnicity or ethical nature of any business?
Yeah, it's an example, right? So when there are, market volatility events, black swan events, and an entire cohort of institutional operators and participants have been decimated, putting aside $100 million to seed them again, to enable them to build out again so that the ecosystem survives. That's part of our ethics. That's our user focus. That's our sense of responsibility towards the space where we happen to have the privilege of being dominant in, right? But there's other examples. So ethics also comes from, weeding out nefarious sectors, in our cooperation with the FIU and with other law enforcement bodies in India is unprecedented. The amount of, sort of active cases where we contribute information to weed out nefarious activities is testament to our commitment to ethics in any market that we cooperate in. Like I said, 220,000 law enforcement requests for information that we've complied with globally. Right?
So in conclusion, let me ask both of you, both you and Kaustubh, you from a business landscape, and then I'll ask Kaustubh to respond to this. If you were looking to sort of contribute to the Maharashtra growth story, what is it that you would be expecting from the political / the bureaucratic establishment of the state as a business entity?
Certainty, right? We need
Certainty to be underlined.
We would need long-term certainty for any business to invest any amount of effort and energy into a market. Is certainty. So, for example, what today the AML registration model works for the time being, but among the G20 countries that made a commitment in 2023 to move towards full scope licensing frameworks for digital assets and adoption, India remains the outlier. So certainty in terms of what is the long-term policy thinking about how to regulate this space, and any approach that India takes to its national interests would make sense to us, right? But just knowing what the direction is would actually help. Certainty in terms of knowing whether India has any ambitions or intent to have, like I said, rupee-backed or rupee-based CBDC stablecoins, which are the foundational rails, right? Without that, there's no liquidity to do anything in the digital asset space. And that is why countries like the US have doubled down on their dominance in this space. And so I think for us, it's certainty across the board, knowing what to expect in the next 10 years to come. Everything changes, but the rate of change matters to a business. And so that is what we would look for.
Kaustubh, as we raise a toast to $1 trillion to $5 trillion growth journey of the state of Maharashtra, final words from you. What's the big thing? Lay out a roadmap of the next 12 months. Since everything about numbers, what are those things that you're going to do over the next 12 months?
But
which will take us on this journey.
Before that, let me respond to this interesting question. I would have actually said the same thing what Sekhar said, certainty. Because at the end of the day, I think the most important quality or a trait of a government is to be able to tell the investor community that we know what we are doing. Our government and our policies are very stable, and we value your hard-earned investment in our state. So please be rest assured that we will give you a fully watertight policy and agreement framework. But having said that, I believe that Binance has, I look at Binance as a tech company. For me, what Binance has been able to successfully do is that use a particular technology called blockchain and create a particular product. I would like to see Binance also create multiple products and, then it becomes the Google moment. So basically, you have a phone, you have an operating system, you have a search engine, you have different, but the tech remains the same. So they have mastered the tech, and I would like them to work on asset tokenization. I would like them to work on various different facets of what the need is. I like the way the chief marketing officer said that when you asked her the question that, how do you see the company, and you asked her a very specific question about a product, and she said that we look at user needs. And I think that's a great answer, because at the end of the day, this is the necessity. And as far as 12 months are concerned, I think the first priority is to get from a political standpoint, although I'm not a politician, but there are a series of elections going to happen, the municipal elections and all of that. If you ask me personally, as somebody who was born in Mumbai, raised in Dadar, I would commit to a better road infrastructure for Mumbai, 100%. We want a situation where we are able to address bad roads. It's something that we get asked a lot, and it's very difficult for me to logically defend it beyond a point. I just cannot, describe why it happens the way it happens. So that's one so we are in a case of conscious incompetence. We are fully aware that this has to be fixed, and right now we are not doing enough to do it. So that's one. And the second thing is that the Navi Mumbai airport, ladies and gentlemen, watch out for that space. There is a Navi Mumbai International Edu City coming, 3.9 kilometers from the airport, where 7 foreign universities have signed. 1 from Australia, 3 from UK, 1 from US. They are setting up their campus. Next to it is an innovation city, and next to it is a GCC city. That entire Navi Mumbai International Airport belt, which is going to serve 90 million passengers annually, is going to completely change the face. That is going to be the big 12-month development.
Well, that's great. Absolutely great. Absolutely great to listen to this. And here's hoping that the state of Maharashtra and Binance, respectively, can propel India in the right direction of doing better business. Great pleasure speaking to all the three of you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us.